saw.
It is the cringiest, most uncomfortable piece of tape I've seen in a long time.
These two will sell anything about their privacy, and yet they'll fight privacy battle after privacy battle. It's total
I don't agree.
Are there any fans of Meghan Markle in tonight? No. Oh, hang on. There is one lone hand has raised
Subversive.
Actually, that is one more than I expected, I have to be honest.
She is an absolute user of the media. She uses every conceivable way to try and play the victim and score.
Do you see any of the real Diana in Meghan? Did you?
No.
Really?
No. Sorry. We are uncensored, but oh my God, the idea there's any comparison between Diana, who was the biggest star in the world.
There was a sex tape about her.
The atmosphere in the studio was charged, almost combustible, as the conversation turned toward one of the most polarizing figures in modern media, Meghan Markle. The intensity of the discourse surrounding the Duchess of Sussex has rarely waned since her departure from royal duties.
Been less than kind, unimaginative and frustrating, said Hollywood's Bible, Variety magazine. So sickening, I almost brought up my breakfast, said the woke Bible, The Guardian. Or the intimacy of Instagram, sneered the normally timid New York Times. A nauseating self-serving snooze fest, said another.
But recent commentary has shifted from general criticism to highly specific, sometimes venomous allegations that suggest a concerted effort to rewrite personal history. When the inevitable comparison was raised, questioning if any trace of the late Princess Diana's genuine charisma could be found in Meghan.
Makes them newsworthy. So you either then ignore what people are talking about, are debating and having all the silly stuff about the fake parties, and all the racism claims turned out to be bull. The mental health claims were bull. All of it was bullshit, designed to damage and attack the royal family, the monarchy, and all of it. And it made me cute.
The response from the host was instantaneous and visceral. It wasn't merely a denial. It was an outright rejection of the premise. The sentiment expressed was that the comparison itself was absurd, juxtaposing Diana's undisputed status as a global icon against what critics perceive as Meghan and Harry's paradoxical pursuit of privacy, while simultaneously selling every aspect of their personal lives to the highest bidder.
Explain and never explain was the late Queen's motto for royal PR. For Harry and Meghan, it's more a case of never reign and never abstain, especially when it comes to nauseating self-publicity, which invariably backfires.
The overarching feeling among these critics is one of exhaustion and disbelief at the couple's perceived hypocrisy, noting that they seem to fight endless privacy battles while thrusting themselves into the spotlight whenever it suits their narrative. The discussion highlighted a seemingly monolithic wall of disapproval, with the host jokingly searching the studio audience for a single fan of the Duchess, only to be surprised when one lone hand was tentatively raised, a moment described as almost subversive in that particular environment. This massive imbalance in sentiment fuels the aggressive commentary that follows. Meghan is painted by her detractors not merely as a celebrity they dislike.
It was planned from the beginning. She denied being interested in the royal family, which she totally was. I know someone who knows the ex-husband who said she had a vision board with Prince Harry on.
But as an absolute user of the media, someone who strategically deploys victimhood to score points against an institution she married into. The critique often becomes deeply personal, referencing her estrangement from her own family. The argument is frequently made that someone who has spectacularly cut off almost every relative on both sides, save for her mother, is in no position to lecture the world on subjects like friendship or compassion. For these commentators, the last few years have been defined by a lack of compassion from the Sussexes, making their public pronouncements ring hollow. This relentless focus on Meghan is acknowledged as a driving force in the media landscape. She makes things newsworthy. The sheer volume of debate means that ignoring her is almost impossible, regardless of whether one believes the narratives or dismisses them as silly stuff. The vitriol directed at her from various media outlets is intense. The transcript recalls Variety magazine describing her output as unimaginative and frustrating, while even The Guardian, often aligned with more progressive views, allegedly found certain aspects sickening. The New York Times was described as sneering at the intimacy of Instagram, and other pundits labeled their endeavors as nauseating self-serving snoozefests. The host himself didn't hold back, offering his unvarnished opinion that Prince Harry is perhaps not the most intellectually robust individual, while characterizing Meghan as deeply manipulative, a person who successfully isolated Harry from his family after discarding her own, including her father, which many find profoundly sad. The narrative being constructed is one of a woman who wrestled a prince away from his duty and his kin, raising the question of how genuinely happy they can be in their California mansion bereft of those foundational connections. However, the discourse recently crossed a significant line, moving beyond insults about intelligence or character into a far more damaging territory aimed at shattering carefully built narratives. Sources indicate that panic set in immediately within Meghan's camp when Piers Morgan, on his uncensored platform, allegedly began discussing photos that have dogged Meghan for years. Images that didn't just naturally fade from relevance but were reportedly actively wiped from the internet and scrubbed from public view. These are images that insiders claim point to a past reality that Meghan has worked tirelessly to bury under layers of curated royal branding. The late Queen's motto for royal public relations was famously, "Never complain, never explain." Critics argue that for Harry and Meghan, the motto has become "Never reign and never abstain," particularly regarding what is perceived as nauseating self-publicity that almost invariably backfires on them. The game changed because Morgan didn't just casually reference these alleged deleted parts of her history. He leaned into the topic, lingered on it, and reopened chapters that many assumed were permanently closed. Observers noted that he didn't just comment. He mocked the entire situation on live television. He raised the uncomfortable questions. Why does evidence keep disappearing? Why do the same photos get wiped every time they resurface online? He called out what he sees as an undeniable pattern, slowly and clearly, ensuring his audience couldn't miss the implication. With millions watching his independent platform, sources claim Meghan's legal team went into overdrive, racing to contain the fallout before it exploded into full-scale mainstream headlines. The concern is not just about specific photos, but about the entire curated public image she has constructed. The timing of these renewed attacks was energized by a recent incident involving Kim Kardashian. Just days prior to the escalation, Kardashian quietly deleted Instagram photos showing Meghan and Harry at Kris Jenner's birthday party. The images went up, people noticed the association, and then they vanished without explanation. Multiple outlets caught this happening in real time, reigniting the same questions. Why do photos of Meghan at high-profile celebrity events keep appearing and then suddenly disappearing from social media? The speculation among critics is that in the ruthless ecosystem of Hollywood, they are no longer considered royalty but rather D-list celebrities who might get an invite but aren't considered elite enough for the permanent feeds of true A-listers like Snoop Dogg or Oprah Winfrey. Viewers of Morgan's show noted that he didn't treat the Kardashian deletion as a one-off event, but linked it to a broader, years-long pattern of visual erasure. The tenacity of Piers Morgan on this subject is fueled by a mix of professional incentive and deep personal animus. It is widely known among followers of the saga that before she met Prince Harry, Piers and Meghan were friendly. They had messaged socially and even met for drinks at a London pub, an encounter Piers believed was the start of a genuine friendship. The very next night, she had dinner with Prince Harry, and according to Piers, she immediately went silent on him. No replies, no explanations, total ghosting. That moment is seen by many observers as the fuse that lit the current powder keg. Since then, Morgan has used every opportunity to question her stories, her credibility, and the version of events she presents to the public. He has openly suggested her actions are calculated, referencing claims that she had a vision board with Prince Harry on it long before they met, denying an interest in the royal family that he believes she totally possessed. This personal grievance is compounded by the professional reality that Meghan Markle is good for business. Now operating unrestrained on YouTube with no network bosses to filter him, Morgan knows that controversial content drives massive engagement. His segments focused on Meghan explode in views, get shared widely, and dominate social media debates. It's a potent mix of personal payback and smart digital strategy. He understands that YouTube rewards strong reactions and polarizing content. By focusing on topics mainstream media often finds too uncomfortable, like the alleged scrubbing of her past, he corners a market of viewers already skeptical of Meghan's polished image.